All right, so if you're watching this video right now, maybe you have no consistency in your content. Maybe you have no regular way to connect with your audience. Maybe you have no time to get your message out there in front of the right people. Or even worse, maybe you just don't have a leveraged way to make an impact. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's training. I'm going to keep this under 15 minutes. So no questions. You can email them to me later if you have some questions. I'm going to cover a ton of ground, and here's what we're going to do. I'm going to train you. I'm going to teach you things. I'm going to enlighten you. And of course, I'm going to give you an opportunity if you think it's the right time to hop on a call and rap with me and find out how you can plug all this into your business. So what we're covering today is 3 different things. First, we're going to talk about the audience amplifier. And this is where most people start, but they get it wrong. And I'm going to show you why. Then we're going to talk about the authority maximizer. And this is what everybody wants. When you're starting a podcast, when you're trying to be a leader in your market, you need more authority. And after that, I'll give you some insights into our audio accelerator. This is the core content strategy for most of our clients. So let's hop in. So everybody seems to think that you jump into podcasting so that you create this big, massive audience that is going to be diehard fans and make it rain hundies every time you put out a new episode. And I wish it were true. Maybe it is for some people, but for most of us, it's just not the case. And so while other people are thinking about the shotgun approach, spray and pray, hit as many people with your message, and hopefully the right ones will find it and find their way to you and find their way back to your website and become clients, that is just not the way it works. And so I tell most people when they want to start a podcast that it's not really going to be a big traffic driver. It's not going to be a big audience builder in the beginning. It's not going to be what most gurus out there would have you believe. In fact, the way we approach it here at the Podcast Factory is rather than the shotgun approach, we have a sniper approach where we look for your ideal clients. And this is part of our client cloner process, is where we figure out who your ideal clients are, who the people most likely to benefit from you are, who are most like the people that have already given you money and are happy with you. We find out who those core clients are, and we take a sniper approach of just targeting those folks, making sure that we're connecting with the right people, with the right message to get them to take the right action and get on your calendar, book a call with you, and eventually become clients. And look, when you're starting out a podcast, you're not going to get a ton of listens. Everybody thinks you're going to get all these downloads and you're going to get raving fans and all that stuff. And it just doesn't start that way. That's why what we talk about here is conversion. So think of it this way. Actually, I'll give you a quote from, well, it'd be a stretch to call him a friend, but I was having coffee with Dean Jackson. And if you listen to podcasts and if you listen to marketing podcasts in particular, then you might know Joe Polish, Dean Jackson, I Love Marketing show. Super smart guy, super well connected, and really, really good direct response marketers. So I was having coffee with Dean in celebration. He had an event going on and I was invited and I got a chance to sit with him. And when people were talking about podcasting, here's what Dean said. Podcasting sucks for getting leads, but it's awesome for conversions. And so that's why we always look to work with people who already have an audience, already have an email list, already have clients, because it's going to be easier for us to help you convert more of the people that maybe haven't purchased or haven't purchased as much as they should, rather than trying to start from scratch. And so podcasting is a great tool to activate the audience you already have and get more conversions. So even if you have a small list, even if not many people know who you are, even if You think it's a lot of work. The fact is, the way that we do things around here and the way that you should be doing things is you should have customers, you should have a list, and you should be targeting your content to convert more of those people that are already around you into customers. That's the trick. And so when you do it that way, it allows you to get victories much quicker than trying to build everything from scratch and trying to build an audience and all that stuff. Tap into the audience you already have and use the content strategically to answer questions, to move people forward, to get them taking step by step until they're on the phone with you, until they're your clients. And even after they become your clients, podcasting is a great way to stay connected with them. So I call that the audience amplifier. And maybe I should rename it because it really starts with the core audience that you have and really activating them. So yeah, maybe this should be the audience activator. I think that'd be a better name for it. I'm going to change that for next time. But the idea is you can get quick victories with podcasting by tapping into your audience. And a great story is when me and my buddy Ben Settle, you may or may not know him, another direct response guy, known as the master of the one email workday. He and I partnered up a couple years ago on the Antipreneur Show. And that was our objective. He had already an email list. He already had fans. He already had sales. And what he was looking for was another way to activate that audience, another way to convert that audience. And it's somewhere, I should probably pull this clip. It'd be super useful. But we were on his show one day, and he talked about the launch that he and I did. We did a membership site, and we actually broke the thing. We did it July. It was like over Independence Day weekend a couple years ago. And we broke everything. 900 plus members. We weren't even able to take PayPal. People were panicking because they couldn't get in. He talks about it as his most successful launch ever. Ever. And this guy's done some launches. And that was just another example of how you already have an audience and you're looking for another way to activate them, another way to convert them, another way to engage them and bring them into your world, get them credit cards out and get them in your buyers list. Because more important than how many downloads you get or how many people are listening to your show is how many people are buying. And that's really what we're about here at the Podcast Factory, is converting listeners into buyers. All right, so let's move along here. Next thing is the authority maximizer. So there's nothing worse than getting on a sales call and having to explain who you are and what you're about. If that's happening to you right now, you're doing something wrong, okay? And there's an easy fix. Make them know your name. Make them know your name. That's all you have to do. Sounds simple. But if you don't have a plan to do it, it could be very difficult because maybe you have a lot of competition in your marketplace. Maybe you think it's a lot of work to get your name out there. Maybe you don't have a plan to increase your authority, or maybe you just don't know what type of content to put out there. And the fact is that when you know your audience, like we talked about in the last segment, when you know what they need, what they want, what you want them to do, all you need to do is figure out how to make them believe that you're the one to bring them the change they're looking for. And if you can do that, they will trust you. They will know you. They will like you. And so, look, the way you use audio content strategically is by thinking about those questions in your market's head. Whatever your community's thinking, whatever difficulties they're having, you got to be ahead of that, and you have to be creating content that answers those objections one by one, allowing your listener to grow their KLT factor with you, the know, like, and trust. And so when you're putting out consistent content that answers your community's problems, they're going to know who you are. You're going to be a recognized authority in the marketplace. They're going to know your name. They're going to seek you out, and they're going to be looking to work with you no matter what. This is about the time where there's only one of you and so many of them, you start raising your prices. So we've got a lot of people that we've worked with. One of my favorites is Igor K-Feds from the List Building Lifestyle Show. We worked together for over 2 years, and he did a little case study for us. And he talks about how his podcast listeners are his best fans. They're his best clients. They're the people that invest the most money with him. And not only that, he goes as far to say as if he was walking down the street and he saw one of these people, he would want to pull aside, talk to them, go for a drink with them, have a bite with them because he likes them so much. And that's because they are indoctrinated. They know who you are. They know what you're about. They listen to you. They quote you. They're easier sales. They're bigger spenders. So, second part about maximizing authority is knowing what your audience wants and needs and giving them that through your audio content. So let's move on to the last part here. And this is what I call the audio accelerator. All right. This is what most of our clients are calling their core content strategy. In fact, we have a story from Justin Wise not too long ago where he was doing a lot of Facebook organic and a lot of Facebook ads. And the thing is, Facebook organic post is like a fart in the wind. It just disappears, right? I mean, the wind is blowing, it takes it away, it disappears, never to be smelled again. And that's what it is with this content that people think they're doing something with. They get a lot of likes or some comments, but that media is not archived. So that media disappears. And what we look at here is how do we make a lasting impact? How do we create a legacy for our hosts? And a Facebook post, a Twitter tweet, none of that stuff lasts. So you have to be thinking about what kind of content will stand the test of time. If you don't already know your audience, this is going to be hard for you to do. If you're not an interesting person or you can't tell a story, then maybe this isn't for you. Try something else. If you're too lazy to map out some content and record it, then no, this is not going to work for you. But if you're willing to do a little bit of work, if you're willing to do a little bit of preparation, and this is what we do with all our hosts, when you come in and work with us, we're going to put you through the ringer. We're going to find out about your audience. We're going to find out about what they need, what your offer is, what you want them to do, what they need to believe. We're going to tie all that together and create a brand story that is irresistible to your ideal clients. And when you have that brand story and you have this consistent thread going through the content, this lasts. This is creating an asset. This is how you create a legacy because you will have evergreen content, an evergreen vault of content is what we call it, that is as good today as it will be tomorrow or next month or next year or 3 years from now because you're tying into the core needs of your market. You're not talking about topics of today, although that's okay too, but you're talking about core topics that your audience will always be interested in, will always move them across the line, and always get them on calls with you to add a little bit of consistency, not just in your content, but in the way your sales calls go and in the way your delivery goes. Everything's going to be more consistent when you have a story thread that people can ride on because that's what people look for is a story they can latch onto and take a ride. Okay. And so forget about social media posts, forget about tweets and Facebook posts, and instead focused on archived media that connects with your audience as much as it connects today as it will 3 years from now by solving their core problems and helping them take step by step forward to working with you. So look, we covered quite a bit of ground here. I wanted to keep this training short and tight. So we talked about the audience amplifier and how really it's the audience activator is the name I like better for it, where if you're thinking about starting a podcast, you should already have an audience, even if they're small, an email list, clients, people who know you, and you can use this audio content to activate them. After that, we talked about the authority maximizer. Nothing worse than getting on sales calls, people making you explain yourself or answer questions. No. When they get on a call with you, they already need to be indoctrinated. And you do that by planning out the right content and sending it at the right time to prepare people before they get on a call with you. Last but not least, we talked about the fart in the wind. It just disappears, kind of like tweets and Facebook posts. So if you want to create a lasting impact, if you want to create a legacy, if you want leverage, then you have to create archived media. And the audio content that we use here at the Podcast Factory can be the base for your entire content strategy. We have the framework in place to do that. So that's everything that I have for you today. What I will say is, if you do have an audience, if you're looking for leverage, if you don't have a lot of time and you want to make sure that anything you do has maximum impact, then book a call. There should be a button around this video. If not, it's thepodcastfactory.com/call. Book a call. We'll talk. I'll find out about your goals, about what you're trying to achieve, where you want to go, what your expectations are, and I'll help you come up with an action plan to use audio content to accelerate your growth, increase your authority, and activate your audience. That's it for me. Jonathan Rivera, out.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.